Yo, what is going on? It's your boy King Kunch here, back with another episode of the Sweatshop. What is popping off, y'all? Let me say what's up to my good people in here first, real quick. We got Daniel Fisher, the talented. Oh, I'm over here clicking on the wrong shit. We got we got Daniel Fisher, the talented Mr. Griffin, Second Street Marvel, Trinity in the building, chilling in the basement, Vito, and everybody else that's in there that's out there lurking, not chatting. What's up to y'all? Because we got a another dope episode tonight, another dope guest. We got in for the first time on the channel. We got my man's Chillmonger, dude. Like Trinity's last week, he was overdue. Like, bro, I feel like this is overdue getting you over here on the channel, bro.
Because it's the first time I'm on your channel, but
Yeah,
definitely not the first time we spoke.
no, it's definitely not the first time. Let me go ahead and get out the way. To go over there and holler at your boy Chillmonger on his channel because if it's Saturday, he's streaming. So go over there and pop over there for his stuff. And my man's also dropped he dropped some hot takes out there too. And I ain't talking about like hot takes, like it's like hot takes. It's real takes.
Big takes.
Big take, big boy
glamorous takes.
Big boy takes. So but yeah, man, we got a great show tonight because dude, I saw you talk about on Twitter, regardless of how people feel about Ant-Man Quantumania, the setup for what they did and moving forward with Kang and the Council of Kangs. And what's going on, Kyle? We got Rama Tut in that post-credit scene. Rama Tut beat the hell up. I don't think Rama Tut went back and went back in time originally as a robot, right? Like something went down to where he got pretty much toe up and it's like doesn't really have a body no more. So I saw you put on Twitter something about Moon Knight and Rama Tut. And that's valid, right? Because a lot of people be thinking like a lot of people think, the Fantastic Four and Rama Tut like off rip. But, I'll let you dive into it first, give your thoughts. Rama Tut and Moon Knight, how'd you come about that, bro?
No, it just fits. If Rama Tut or if any sort of Egyptian god was going to show up in Thor, Love and Thunder, we'd have seen it. Didn't happen.
Facts.
Well, then where will Moon Knight mix in? Where will Moon Knight and some of those Tiamat and some of the other names I forgot, when will it matter? It's got to be in this franchise here, which is the Rama Tut Kang movie that's coming out. It's just united by one thing that they have in common, which is that country in Africa called Egypt.
My thing too, like I'm glad you brought up like Thor: Love and Thunder because that was one thing that pissed me off that they didn't have Khonshu or in like any type of like Egyptian god in what it was Olympus, right? That was what they called it.
And Bast was missing, but there was an actress. Did you see that image of the actress?
Yeah, that was Bast, though, right? She was listed.
She said Bast. She was.
Yeah, she was because Bast and
the Black Panther deity that they got.
that picture that they always throw out there too with homie from Namor's god, Kukulkan. Yeah, Kukulkan. They were saying there's supposedly beside Bast there, but that was like my biggest shit. But bro, I'm with you too though because like one we see in the comics there like the Only Myself Left to Conquer run, the King the Conqueror jump. Rama, a version of Moon Knight, Ravana's version of Moon Knight goes up against Rama Tut. Like that, the whole thing goes down there. So like that's like a cool set, but also too, bro, like the savageness that had to be done to Kang the Conqueror. Like the savageness that had to be done to Kang the Conqueror. Like he's ripped open and ripped apart. There's no one really in the MCU on the good side that I feel like is that savage to like leave him shredded up and leave him cut up like that, other than your boy Moon Knight. So like that goes hand in hand. But let me ask you, story-wise, like is there any like tread story-wise, anything that you're headed to that like you think they can actually make this work and pull it off?
I want to not answer that question. I want to get into the Jonathan Majors ambiguity right now of his case. Now, of course, everyone, this taxi footage can be released and we can see that he's completely innocent and that will change nothing. And maybe on May 8th on his court date, that's what happens and we're right on track. But like, Kendall, what about if they don't actually continue with this Kang story? Well, I'll have to scrap all of my theories and expectations.
So you don't want to waste your time on your Kang theories because you think he might get scrapped.
I think it's up in the air.
You think it's up in the air? Here's my thing. Like, nothing's going to make this situation better. You know what I mean? Like, for Jonathan Majors, like, no, whether the tape comes out, the only thing that make it better is if there's some tape that comes out and he doesn't do anything. And
Yeah.
he just takes the beating. But it seems like something happened. You know what I mean? Like something of some sort to me happened. Like I'll be honest with you, chill though. Like when stuff like that comes out and like with how shaky it was in like those first 3 days, as far as like, it came out that he was arrested, then all this stuff comes out, then the text messages. Dude, I've been
They released the text messages themselves. Why would you release that stuff? It didn't help you.
I've been trying to keep my like hands off of it, bro, because
Wise.
it gets to the point of like I don't want to have my mind made up any more than what it is until it actually comes out, right? Like I don't want to. I kind of fell into this thing with Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez. Like I kind of had my mind made up,
Oh, really?
yeah, before the case. Like at one point, I was like, hell no, like F Tory. But then like before, like as things was coming out from like Tory's side and then from the court stuff, I was like, wait a minute, like
Yeah, because there was glass shards and Meg.
yeah, like that. So I tried to take the lesson from that and be like, let me not rush, let me not jump. But back to the whole point of him not being there, like I think it's just really how do you move forward without that being there? Even if whether you recast, like if you recast, that is there. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like if they're going to do something, it has to be scrap it off and just go with Doom. Like that's my thought. Like
It
just,
really is
just
that
cut the whole
simple.
king off and go with Doom.
Doom Dynasty has a pretty good ring to it.
Yeah.
Maybe do a Disney Plus show, which can prep us to get there. Also, it's not that difficult.
And I think they got the thing in place too, to where they can like spend a couple of like expand Secret Invasion a bit more. Because I think Secret Invasion is not gonna, they just came out and said it was gonna be part two. I mean, season 2 of Secret Invasion. I don't
No
think
way.
Secret. Yeah, well, at least I don't know. Wait a minute, let me chill. I saw it on Twitter, but like I
Was
didn't
it
have time
6
to look
days
into it.
ago when everything
No,
on
no, it
Twitter
wasn't
wasn't
6 days
true?
ago. Like this was like today.
All right.
This was today. Hold on, let me go look
Okay.
real quick.
No, that's good
Um,
to hear, though. I do like to know that there's going to be Marvel series or a second Marvel series like Loki that has continuity, one leading to another. That's just how it's done. It's called TV. I know these whole limited series things where it's just 6 weeks of Moon Knight, enjoy, 6 weeks of Falcon Winter Soldier, enjoy. I prefer continuity.
Yeah, you know what? Like, I don't see it from a trusted source. I saw it retweeted on Twitter, but when just like off a quick search, if somebody else on Twitter saw it. I mean, somebody else in chat that saw it or whatever. Let me know if that's something that y'all like seen from a verified thing. But I
Mm.
mean, like, my whole thing is like they have that there to be able to expand it past the series. Like, I think you could probably do like a whole phase on Secret Invasion,
On
doing it right
Scrolls.
on Scroll Secret Invasion.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I mean, I think it's there, but like you said, it's just if they move forward with Kang, they're gonna have to deal with the shit. Like regardless, don't like unless he gets a video out there to where it's like he's just getting beat up and not doing anything. I think they have to move. Like
Yeah, I think if he's like she says, allegedly it's over like a phone text that she
mhm,
wasn't supposed to see. If he's sort of like defending himself against the text and she's berating at him, and he does one of these, like because after
yeah,
taking an onslaught of damage.
hit it with a stiff arm.
Now, I personally wouldn't mind. I mean, I know it's a mistake, never hit a woman. I recognize it as an error and as the wrong thing to do morally. However, I can forgive Jonathan Majors for that because of what was happening. But Marvel Studios will not. That's on footage. That's the thing that happened. Boom. We need to sell tickets to the entire globe, and there's a lot of people on this globe who will not tolerate that maneuver by Jonathan Majors.
And that's the
To,
thing.
yeah,
It's not a lot. I mean, dude, think about Chris Brown. Dude made a mistake when he
Chris
was a
Brown.
teen.
Kobe Bryant,
Like, yeah,
he's
Kobe was a
never
genre. Yeah,
when he
never lived it
died.
down.
The amount of news stories and people who were just bring up. By the way, 2006 in Colorado, and I'm like, what's that got to do with? He died, and that's that whole scenario. If you actually look into it, actually, and then all right, so that just closes the Kang discussion about whether or not he comes because of the actor. Let's get to the theories though, because initially your question,
Yeah,
which I danced around, wasn't about that. It was about
yeah,
please remind
yeah.
me.
I think you. What was you trying to buy some time, or what was you doing there? It was
Uh,
about it was about like how do you think it could go down, like story wise. And I kind of got an idea on my mind because when we see that post credit scene, a lot of people are thinking like that's a starting point. But I think what we'll see from like the next phase, next maybe 2 phases, we'll see how these Kanes got to this point. So we may see like the Scarlet Centurion Kang in the movie, to where his plans get effed up or something around his plans get messed up, and now they're just getting pissed off. So like them and Mortis, all of them coming together was like fresh off of a defeat. So I think like if you're looking at it to where when Thanos was like, "Fine, I'll do it myself," that would like has supposedly happened like years like after we actually saw it, right? Some type of way they try to explain it. I'm thinking like a type sequence wise, that's what's going on.
Okay,
So
good. Yeah, good thought process.
yeah. So from that point, yeah, I think Rama Tut. I'm stuck here, bro. Like, I would love to see a different version. I would love to see like a Ravana version of Moon Knight, like actually doing that. But I feel like they're definitely not going to make it that convoluted and go that route. So where I'm headed is, if this version of Rama Tut comes back to Egypt to get the Scarlet Scarab, like to get the Scarab or some type of technology that's like in Egypt, and Khonshu is aware, and
Uh-huh.
Khonshu wants to be able to. Shit, I haven't brought up. Dude, what if Khonshu can even travel back in time himself?
I don't know. He can move the planets.
He can move, like he can move, he can shift time through the night sky. Can he go back nights? You know, that type of stuff to fight there. But either way, like I think it's to where you're setting up a beef to where Khonshu doesn't want to let Ramatut come back and raise the power. And it could be a deal to where Khonshu has beef with Ramatut from the past, and now Ramatut's coming back, and he's bringing Moon Knight. You know, Khonshu is bringing Moon Knight into the fold and fighting him again. That's how I think it could go down, and I think it'd be pretty dope to see because I want to see some. I want to see Moon Knight actually do something unlike he did last season. Like all the best scenes of Moon Knight were cut out. So like I would love to see it actually go down. Like let me see some Jake Lockley going up against Ramatut.
I think people forget that it's a TV budget, and yeah, they went black the first episode. That's for mystery. That's great. We love Jaws because we couldn't see the shark, and then by the time we get to the final episode, they went black that one last time, and that was too much. This is where you pay it off, Marvel
Exactly.
Studios. That wasn't it. Marvel Studios though they may do things like that. Khonshu being like, oh no, I need to reach out not to Jake, but I need to reach out to Steven and Mark and let them know that there's this Kang threat right now that he's so serious. I have to just fess up. By the way, I'm kind of fooling you guys. I still didn't leave. It's important, but we need all three personalities in on this one because that's how big this threat is. Magnify Kang the Conqueror, Rama Tut Kang.
What'd you say?
To magnify the
To Matt?
threat by having Khonshu because Khonshu, you remember we just saw him fighting an alligator, right?
Yeah.
Like that guy, if he's worried about Rama Tut Kang, then you know it's serious.
I'm kind of there. I'm all right. I'm with you there because it's like he'll know. I also think it's kind of personal too because if they had beef, like I mentioned, they could have had beef back in the day. So when imagine Ramatut pulling up and stealing the worshippers from the what do they call it? The
Deity?
do what's the Inuit taking worshippers from the Inuit from
Uh,
all of the people there. That's instant beef, bro. Like, just on some basic shit. Like, if you got a dude coming up posing as a god taking your worshippers,
yeah.
that's instant beef and instant like, nah, we gotta stop this dude. It could even be like the root of creating Moon Knight, of like empowering somebody to be able to, he could even be the reason why Khonshu made an avatar to be able to go out there and defeat a Ramatut in the first place. Um, so I really feel like they could do a lot with this. Trinity asked this question though. He said, "Think Jake Lockley gets a different uni?" Hell yeah, bro. There's no way they don't give Jake Lockley a different uni, dog.
What's up,
And
Jedi Mike?
oh yeah, Jedi Mike in the building. He's pulling up, man. Hey, Jedi Mike, Jedi Mike. Thanks for pulling up. I was about to say something stupid, but I didn't think about it. Are
Oh,
you thinking Mark's? What did you say, bro?
I like chilling in the basement. That's a cool name. I'm all
Yeah,
for
it's a dope
chilling.
name. He's a cool dude too, bro. Um,
Yeah, Nerd Mafia said, "What the f?" I asked that. You said Trinity.
did I say Trinity?
You did, and
Man,
I'm
I
like, oh,
put
I
you on
guess
there,
that's
Green Bear.
I
I
guess
mean,
that's the
I put you on
alternate
the
account
screen.
there.
I
Come
put
on
you on
now.
the screen, Green Bay. Like it's all good though. It's all good.
Cornelius, what's up?
Giving Trinity my credit. Are you thinking Mark Spector or an Avatar reunited from recruited from actual time?
Ooh, we could get that. And imagine if it's Apocalypse, played by Oscar Isaac.
Dude, they could
No,
definitely
that's too
go
meta.
there.
I'm joking. We
No,
don't do
they
that.
could
No.
definitely go.
We can't do that. Age of Apocalypse never happened. That whole X-Men stuff, no. The other X-Men stuff when Halle Berry
I mean, is
stormed.
he in Secret Wars?
uh,
Do you bring Apocalypse into Secret Wars and have Oscar Isaacs be Apocalypse and
I'm bringing Kim Possible in Secret Wars, the Powerpuff Girls. Everyone is in Secret Wars. If they can
the
figure something out
Incredibles,
with
bro?
James Gunn is their friend, isn't he? And he's in charge of DC. I want to lend some Henry Cavill and sign the paperwork. I want to see Superman in Secret Wars, even if it's just for like the last punch of the movie. Go all out in Secret Wars. It's cameo heaven.
Insert Ravana as Khonshu's avatar. That's why I said that earlier. Yo, Cornelius, it's my first time seeing you in here, but you the real one for that one, bro. Like, I think that's like even a cool thread to pull on, even if they do it like a scene of flashbacks, right? Because it kind of like I didn't think that deep into it possibly being like you can kind of do Khonshu and Rama Tut having two encounters. So if you go back to ancient Egypt and you have him having Ravana go up against, we could only maybe see like one episode as Ravana as Moon Knight, or see, maybe just a flashback of Ravana as Moon Knight stepping into that. I think that'd be, but that's the thing, bro. I don't know how deep they're gonna go into Ravana in the MCU. Like MCU, like in this last phase, they've been dangling things in front of us, and they'll put them there, but they won't make that connection, bro. Like,
Ravonna, that's not the Google Mbathu Ross character, is it?
yeah, it is.
All right.
Yeah. She's Ravonna Renslayer, and she's searching. At the end of the season, she's like, "I'm going to go search for free will." Um, Nobody knows what that means, but can you send a super chat for me? Yeah, Green Bear, send a super chat for Trinity. Let's see where we at. Give Trinity the emerald talent. Facts. He does need that. Does need the credit for that. Alfred Enoch. All right, I gotta look up Alfred Enoch. Do you know who that is, bro?
No. Alfred Enoch.
Enoch. Yeah. Enoch.
Doesn't sound Egyptian. But I just said Oscar Isaac because, of course, he played it.
Oh, that's the I know him. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah.
Oh, him. That young guy, 34 years old.
Yeah. Him. Young. Shoot, I'm glad you're calling that young. Yeah, this guy. Yeah. I can see him being Apocalypse. I mean, he's got that like look.
The evil look.
Yeah. Well, I was talking about like
he could get away with murder.
He can get away with being Egyptian. If they wanted to, how accurate or inaccurate they wanted to be with their Egyptian portrayal. But yeah, let's see. But that, like I said, like I think that'd be a dope way to kind of bring in, like, kind of tie in what's happening with Rama Tut, like in the past, and how those things go down. And it's kind of interesting too, because if we use that logic, I'm wondering at what point do you get to like the Scarlet Centurion and his plan? Like, who does the Scarlet Centurion like come up against? Who does Immortus come up against? I would kind of like to see them use Immortus as more of like the sorcerer type enemy, if you will. Like, I know he doesn't have that type of skill set in the comics, but to have like the type of skill set to go up against someone like Doctor Strange, like I kind of like for Immortus to be his adversary. Like it may be Doctor Strange 3.
You're such a fan. Look at you opening comic books and thinking about what could be. Has this last phase, been very comic book driven though?
No.
There was one moment, I think, in Spider-Man No Way Home where they said, with great power, there must also come great responsibility. And that's word for word how the comic goes.
Mm-hmm.
The other two movies just said great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
But it's that inclusion of there must also come, which made me go, John Watts is the man.
Somebody's paying attention.
Somebody there loves Spider-Man enough that they got they have a comic book open, because that's the only way, I think, or from memory, that they said, that's how the line goes. We will read it and execute that. So there are moments like,
I think you do that intentionally. Like, you have to go look, because I don't think you know, I don't think he would come up with that off the top of his head, just reading it from the line from line. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
just think something that somebody takes the care, or even somebody could have brought it up to him. Like it might not have been him, and be like, "Yo," instead of saying that, like say the actual line,
there's stuff.
and
There
that's
was a moment in Black Panther 2, Wakanda, whatever,
mm,
where Shuri used those desert suns against the Kukul Khan.
uh-huh,
And that is a weapon that she uses when she's fighting him on the beach. Now she used it while they were airborne in the Wakandan ship. So
mhm.
it's a little bit different, but the weapon choice that dries him out and makes him needs water was the same exact thing that happened comic book wise. And I liked that they did that in that comic in the movie.
And I'm like, my whole thought is, bro, because we're heading into like a whole, we're gonna get real sweaty. Like I feel like in the MCU, like I feel like it's things that are gonna be explained that are very complex and complicated that like happen in the comics, but they're not gonna be the same rules. It's not gonna go the same. So like I think we'll see things that go down, like you said, like the line, like the Desert Sun type shit. But then when it comes to like even Kang the Conqueror, like he's more of a time travel villain more than a like traveling multiverse type of villain, right? Like I feel like they're changing up Kang the Conqueror, and even Secret Wars in a way too here. So it's like I'm not sure at this point because it's something kind of been ticking me off. Like when I be putting on my reels and shit on Facebook, Facebook people they're real more antsy and real more like butthead know it alls type shit. Like I just think like the whole like ground, the whole makeup and science of the MCU is really setting itself up to be different than what they've been building in the comics.
No, I feel like actually okay, oh, that's what you meant? Sure.
Yeah.
But I do feel like they are messing up with some of the science of the MCU with the explanations. There was Kang parts of the movie that were removed. Now you can imagine that it's to make the movie shorter, to have more screen times in the movies to make more money, which didn't help. I wanted though this to prime us. Let us know what Kang's powers are. Have Janet explain he can do this. He was working on doing that, but he still can't do that. Just so like when we watch Avengers Kang Dynasty, this Kang can do that. Rama Tut is
Hmm.
more bigger than the actual guy who was locked up. The way that we could have been promoting the future of Marvel and this threat was missed out on. There the way let me just talk about the way that they promote the movies.
Hmm.
Some of these trailers are very discreet, not giving you information. Why? Because we don't want to spoil it. We can't spoil it. We
Exactly.
want them to enjoy it. When your movie flops the way that Quantum Mania did, which only has 400 something million,
You
when
just
that
stop.
happens, change, course correction. Now let's actually see what this movie is about. You still don't gotta show us the ending scenes, but like the first two acts, show us scenes from there. Explain to the fans what this is about. Do the exposition in your trailers. Do you remember Liam Neeson taken? I will find you, and I will like that was the
Yeah,
trailer
that
that
was
I
in
thought
that joint, and it made you hype for the movie.
that's all you need, and we don't need a still image of like Cassie. Oh look, she's all grown up, and someone talking in the background, which is from a whole different scene in the movie,
Yeah.
and got Janet turning around dramatically. We don't need scenes,
You know one
trailers
thing
that
they could have done, and I
Mhm.
feel like, they took out of the movie for sure, is actually showing Kang pruning a timeline. Like,
that that how
Kang
important would it have been, right?
Kang, like, doesn't we see the TVA prune timelines, but I think in that little 1-second shot that they showed us, he's pruning it in a much more brutal way. Like, it looked like my man is actually, like, pruning it from his hands and pruning the entire shit. So, like, if they showed that, I mean, they should have definitely showed that in the movie because it went over everybody's majority of the people's heads that was in there. I feel like if you didn't watch Loki, it went over your head. Like
Oh
you
yeah,
didn't really get the full scope of what he was doing because all they did was show that timeline being pruned from like the Citadel view. The dumbest thing in the world they could have done there. But if they did what you're thinking, what you're talking about, and actually show 2 second shot of Kang pruning like that shot of Kang actually doing it and actually us seeing what's happening, bruh, the stakes would have felt bigger. We would have seen like Kang, oh shit, Kang is really that dude. So yeah, I'm definitely with you there. But let me ask you this then. Since we haven't really talked since like, in a minute about just whole phase 4 or 5 in general, do you think based off of like Quantumania, based
Uh-huh.
off what we know about, what we're seeing about Guardians of the Galaxy. These leaks, rumors, everything going on, everything happening with Kang. Like, do you think we're in a good trajectory at this point, bro? Like, do you think like we're at a good space?
Nah, when I'm hearing about how things needed to change in Quantumania because spoilers came out, and so just to be different, we changed it. I'm hearing things. I'm hearing that when Scott and when Hope were in the quantum realm, they were supposed to be stuck there, but
Mm-hmm.
because that was revealed, Kevin Feige just pulled that. That's what I heard. I don't think that we're in a good trajectory with anything that's happening now. I'm looking at the movies to come. We got a Thunderbolts movie, who are not Thunderbolts are not Iron Man. Okay,
Yeah,
we've got Falcon has a movie coming out. You know about that Falcon movie, New World Order?
bro. I don't. The rumors are coming out, but I'm not an Anthony Mackie fan.
Neither is Marvel because it's going to be about the
Yeah,
Hulk and the Red Hulk and
yeah.
the President. It's going to have so much other things that are taking away from Sam Wilson. I
But to
think
be
Bucky.
real though, to be fair, after after Captain America won, the rest of the Captain Americas were. I mean, Bucky kind of, you had the whole thing going on with Shield. It was bigger than Captain America, right? So like, you had the whole thing going on with Shield.
Yeah,
Had like Nick Fury, all of them in there, and then in the second Captain America, you had all of the superheroes for. I mean, the third one you had like Civil War.
yeah.
So to me, honestly, like I just feel like Captain America on his own merits, like on his own, just based off his skill set, like what we used to seeing. It's not the most flashiest superhero in the world. So like I feel like they have to beef him up. And with Sam not having super soldier serum and with it being played by Anthony Mackie, like they have to beat that shit up,
I don't feel the same way about Anthony Mackie that you do. I think he's
bro.
capable. He could do it. He
No,
could
I
lead
mean,
a film.
here's my thing. I don't I get
But
that he's a
okay, you know what
military.
though? You know what? Let me cut you off. How does he fight against Rama Tut? How does he fight against that Kang? He doesn't.
You can't.
I'll keep watch up high. That's what you'll
Yeah.
be doing.
I would throw my shit from up high and then Rama Tut will like fucking fly himself because he's from the future. But like my thing is like I didn't like Altered Carbon, the season where he was in. Like, it's just he comes across stiff, bro. And I get it. Like Sam Wilson is a military dude. Sometimes military people kind of have that demeanor, but it's like, dude, stop talking at me. Like, it feels like he's talking at you, and like I'm just not like I can't get with it. I can't kind of get past it. I feel like he's a capable actor and good actor. Like I fuck with him as a person,
Uh-huh.
but this is like Sam Wilson, like carrying a movie. You know what I mean? It's cool being the sidekick, but to the point to where y'all didn't really cast this dude to be a lead character, there's like issue there. Now they got a different type of situation with Don Cheadle because Don Cheadle's just that dude. So like they were able to come up off of him being a sidekick somehow. And now I feel like he's somebody who can carry a show because he's got a track record of being able to carry multiple shows.
Armor Wars is moved from a show to a
To a
film.
movie, yeah, to
And
a
when they
movie.
did that, I didn't think about this. What if Tony Stark returns in Secret Wars? And Armor Wars is just the fourth Iron Man movie. That's why it got upgraded to a movie.
So repeat that. So
Don Cheadle is not the lead of Armor Wars. Armor Wars is actually Iron Man 4. They just can't call it Iron Man 4 because, Tony's supposed to be dead. When Tony returns in Secret Wars in 2026, the next movie after will be Armor Wars.
but ain't Armor Wars coming out before that?
Not according to the Wikipedia I saw.
I swear I thought it was coming out before.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I thought so too.
I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if I can see that though, bro. Because
Dr.
I feel
Doolittle
like
wasn't
Tony
doing well.
I feel like
He,
I feel like Tony's appearance in that movie is going to be a hologram type shit. Or like, just like yeah, a hologram. Like I don't think he's going to come back alive or be alive other than in Secret Wars. Cuz I don't know, like I feel like it makes more sense in the world for him to come back. Robert Downey Jr. Like I know he racked in money, but like bro, you I have not seen a Robert Downey Jr. movie that I wanted to watch since he's been in Iron Man or out of the MCU either. So it's like it makes sense for him to come back. I just think he's too out of it right now to come back. But
money talks.
I feel like what you're saying is more probable for Steve Rogers and Chris Evans. Even though he just came out and said that, I feel like that's more probable
The
than
issue with that is that he believes himself to be a peaceful, loving guy, and if he returned, everyone would un-Captain America Sam Wilson, and they would Captain America eyes Steve Rogers. Right? He doesn't want to get in the way of
Yeah,
that character, and that's what it
yeah,
would look like.
yeah. And I get that, and I respect him for it because I mean, like, he could definitely just come back in and step in and do his shit.
It's also why we
But
shouldn't be doing mantle swaps, and instead we should elevate Sam Wilson, the Falcon character, into being movie worthy. The same way Iron Man and Black Panther are different characters, even though they both have suits with metal. They are both equally really important franchises. Falcon could have been the next one there.
they could
Potentially
have bumped Falcon up.
he could have been as important as the Hulk. We'll never know.
Well, my thing there too is like they definitely could have bumped him up. Like I think he's a character that you could have left. You could have left alone. Like I know they want to carry on the mantle of
Captain
Captain
America.
America and keep
And
that
we'll
there.
see how
But
that
that's
works out. Like this might actually flop
mm,
immensely. There might actually be people who reject it. In comic books, that first issue, it's always the most popular one because it's the first issue, and then sales decrease gradually. This isn't a comic book monthly, with an audience who are addicted to the comic shop who are there 52 weeks a year. This is a movie. Does the movie audience, who you actually got to sway them to get off their hump and go to a movie theater and spend 2 hours of their lives? There's a lot of commitment that's happening, of expensive popcorn and drink. Can you make them leave their home the same way you did for Spider-Man No Way Home 3 Spider-Man? For a guy who calls himself Captain America, that's not
but
a familiar.
would Falcon pull that? Let me like off rip. Like would Falcon pull that by himself?
It does by himself. What does that even mean?
Well, I mean, like if you're like elevating Falcon, like if you're elevating Falcon, keeping the Falcon title, and the movie is about Falcon, he's a titled character. Will
Called
people?
Falcon? The
Yeah,
movie's called
is that what you're
Cap.
explaining? Like, is that what you're explaining? Right? Like, instead of instead of making him Captain America and giving him the movie,
Oh, okay, then
elevating,
yeah. I'm asking for a whole
yeah,
new movie. Just erase the
yeah.
concept of what this is. Make us know that this is a Falcon movie and Falcon plot and supporting characters of Falcon and everyone
But do
like,
you think the same amount of people would come out for that?
oh, as opposed to when you call him Captain
Captain
America.
America, yeah.
I think if the story prepped him, like if the Disney Plus show that we got
Mhm.
wasn't about him changing into Captain America, and instead if it was boosting his popularity, yes, I believe it's possible. I
Not
mean, but look, I don't actually have evidence of this movie wise.
because speculative.
The closest I got is Black Panther appeared in Civil War first,
Mhm.
and then he got his movie. But then there's so much there's so much of that box office success that doesn't have anything to do with his appearance in Civil War.
Dude, I would say maybe about. Well, no, I would say Civil War was probably about like 75%
Really?
impactful because
Okay.
Civil War let us know what was up. Civil War left everybody wanting more. Like that post-credit scene when he's in Wakanda, like when Bucky's in Wakanda, and we get that zoom out and you see like Wakanda from the distance. Like that, like really made people go, "Oh, Black Panther!" People went to go see that movie just because Black Panther was in it. So it's like to see Civil War, like because the intrigue of Black Panther after that weekend that it came out and people were talking about it.
Yeah.
That made people interested in the character. It made the comic book people pick up the comic book people. Shit, even now, like I got
That's
into
not
YouTube.
75%. The comic book people are not
Well,
that many.
well, no, I'm saying like I was just kind of weaving that into like the whole kind of total of like what made it so impactful. So to me, it's like seeing him and knowing that he's in the universe and getting that taste, enhance that word of mouth for people to be like, damn, we're going to see Wakanda. Then you get to see the trailer and it builds up. So that's why I say like it could have been done. It could have been dope without him being in Civil War, no doubt, because I feel like the marketing would have hyped it up and everything. But his whole demeanor in Civil War and like just the introduction of him,
It helped.
yeah, I think it was like a large 75 might be gassing. I say like maybe like 50, but 75 might be gassing it.
But the
But
rest was just from a
it was
black
heavy.
audience who have been deprived of a character like this because it's
Mhm.
usually with a stereotypical nonsense. But you got a king here, no swearing. I don't think there was rap music in this whole movie. Was
Nah,
there?
it
Maybe in
was.
Korea.
Yeah, it wasn't Korea.
All right.
Yeah, it wasn't Korea. But I
But
mean, even then it was Kendrick. You know what I mean? Like even then, it wasn't no, it wasn't no, it wasn't no wild and ass dude. It was Kendrick. But
it was
like
there was a just audience looking for it, plus the repeat viewers, plus the group. Let's all go to the theater with the community type. There was just a lot of money that came from a new audience there with the Black Panther, and so, well, would Falcon just alone make the same amount of money as calling it Captain America: New World Order? The answer to that question is an unknown, but I would be happier, and the long term ramifications would be stronger and more beneficial if you guys do a Falcon movie. You just hold your audience Falcon is movie worthy rather
Mhm.
than telling them when he goes by the identity of Captain America, that's when this Sam Wilson character is worth putting a 200 million budget behind him.
I'm gonna get to that one second. I'm gonna give you my response to that. But when we got Kyle saying when will they use Fantastic Four character? Well, they're getting the movie before Secret Wars, so they're
Yes,
not gonna just drop them in there. So that's gonna be dope.
there'll be the
Uh,
Captain Marvel right in between Avengers movies.
yeah,
There's this
it's gonna be
hero.
right in there. So we'll see how they swing that. Um, but yeah, my whole thing, my response to that though is this: they've I'm trying to think of examples to where they've done that to say, hey, this character is worth his own show. This character is worth his own movie. And
Aquaman?
Aquaman to me was Justice League. Like Aquaman, like we're talking about taking a non big top tier character, somebody that was a sidekick
Mhm.
and elevating him to his own status. And I'm even thinking about like Miss Marvel is kind of hard to kind of put in that category because it's like would Miss Marvel deserve her own show type of shit. And it kind of flopped, but I don't think that was because of that reason. So I think they had to do it in order for us to see, right? Like that's an interesting point there. But my whole thing is play devil's advocate. If they do this the right way, maybe make Falcon and the Winter Soldier an actual movie. Like make it a Falcon movie, and then he comes out of that earning the Captain America shield. Like it's something that is not necessarily like just handed off to him by Sam. I mean, from
Steve.
Steve Rogers. It's something that goes down to where it's like he's defeated someone with the shield and it's there. Or it's like he sees an actual need for a Captain America. And since Steve Rogers is dead, he steps into that role. And what we see the Falcon movie progress into that. It's not it doesn't have to go into as deep as to him changing his whole facade of being Falcon, right? Like you can
Yeah, it
still
does
have him,
because of the
you
way
can
you
still have the
worded it.
shield, right? But
Because you said because he needs the world needs a Captain
you're
America.
right.
No,
You're
the
right.
world
No,
needs
you're
a
right. And
superhero.
you're right. And I'm gonna stick, you're right. And I'm gonna stick with to me, yeah, it's kind of what they kind of portrayed in the character, right? Like you need somebody to represent that. That's what they're trying to portray in that. So I think that's a better way of doing it. To me, I'm not necessarily opposed of them doing it that way. And like it's all about, yeah, I know you're talking about like future ramifications, all of that stuff, but it's like to me, it's about like right now too. Like give
Right
me
now, it's
the
not as important as the future. Right now, it's never as important as the future.
right now inspires the future. So
Well, yeah,
like
all those
so
Spider-Man
so right
cartoons does whatever a spider can. The
yeah,
Spider-Man Amazing
right
Friends.
now inspires the future. So if you have someone seeing these characters, like seeing characters of color in
Yep.
these big roles, like if I'm not a fan of necessarily race swapping every character, but I'm not, if you want to give me a black Reed Richards, I'm not going to be opposed of it because we're seeing that. Like that's something that's actually tangible that we can see and feel right now, and something that can inspire a kid who needs it right now, a kid who's going to the movies theaters and needs it right now and not 5 years from now. That could inspire them to make a black comic book character to come up. That could inspire them to dive into these black comic book characters to drive interest to be
So,
able to be like, yeah, let's make these movies.
so does Adam Brashear, Blue Marvel, a smart character who has superpowers. Same thing.
Yeah, and the thing is too, like I think I mentioned this one before, like I feel like we're getting both. Like to me, like I don't want to be that critical of them race swapping and not elevating if they're gonna give us both of those. Here's the thing, like if we weren't getting any black characters, like if we didn't have Black Panther, if we didn't have Monica Rambeau, if we didn't have Ironheart, if we didn't have Rhodey, we didn't have those characters in there right now, then I would have more issue with them saying, we're actually going to swap and we're just going to make Reed Richards black and not give us these black characters. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I would take issue. But the fact that we have these folks here now already, to me is like they're giving us both. They're not like I feel like they're not selling it short. Now, when it comes to Blue Marvel, I'm interested to see how the I feel like Blue Marvel is coming. It's just like
I
how,
hope when
yeah,
he comes in the
because
lead of a
Blade, like we're
movie.
getting Blade too. Like Blade's getting his own movie, like black character.
That's yeah. That's a
So
black
it's
character there, and he's not a role model, but still, it's a black character. That's if that's what we're the
yeah,
bar is set at that. So it would be the Black Panther film with T'Challa in it. It would be the second movie where Shuri was sort of the lead of, even though she had some issues where she couldn't be filming for the entirety, so it didn't feel like she was the lead. But regardless, that's two movies there,
yeah.
and
I
then
give that a
there's
scratch too, bro. Like I don't.
yeah, Wakanda
I
Forever
definitely
is
don't agree with. I definitely don't agree with them not recasting T'Challa, but I just
there's a
understand
lot
and
to
just sympathize.
that
Yeah,
happened there in that
yeah,
movie that we can let that slide. But
yeah.
yeah, Blade is going to be cool, and then this new movie where Falcon is going by the persona of Captain America. Yeah, we just talked about my issues with it.
Armor Wars
Is
though.
Armor
We just talked
Wars
about Armor Wars. Where I mean, there's no
Don
indication that Don
Cheadle.
Cheadle's not going to be the lead.
But the thing is, the long term is that when this universe reboots, which is pretty soon. How many years until this universe reboots?
Probably, I think we're going to go through Battle World after Secret Wars.
How many years? Just give me a number.
So I'm trying to put it together because what 2027 is when Secret Wars Part
Yeah,
1 is going to come out, and
no,
then
part two.
I thought it just got pushed back to 2027 like 3 weeks ago, or did it get pushed back to 2026?
Part two got pushed to 27.
Okay, and then I think we're going to go through a phase on Battle World.
Just the
So
question
that's
is
probably
what
2 years. So that's I think we probably got like 5 years
we
before
have
that.
5 years, and then we're back to phase one, a brand new cinematic universe, brand new actors, no more Mark Ruffalo. Okay, cool. So in 6 years from now, will the will it be better off that we had a Falcon? All those kids that are going to be inspired by like a black Reed Richards. When we reboot and they hire a white guy to play Reed Richards again,
Mhm.
like it always is, I'm gonna look at it like, yeah, that was useless, or that was of little value. Not useless. You're saying it inspired people, but like it'd be more important if Sam Wilson went as Falcon. And then when they rebooted, we wouldn't say what we're gonna say now. Oh, Falcon, he's just Falcon. He's not even Captain America. He's not even his full form yet. I don't care about Sam Wilson.
But
Call me when he's Captain America.
but to me, it's like the story that they're working within too. Like we're taking into account like what they have story wise, character skill set, character power wise, the inspiration of what they're coming up with these characters from. I feel like they're working with that. And the whole issue is that majority of these characters were made during a racist ass, a blatantly racist ass period of the United States. So it's like if they want to pull from this inspiration and pull from these characters, but also want to address the mistakes from the past and bring in black characters and bring in Mexican, Asian characters.
Yeah, the ones that are
That's
always going to be Mexican and Asian, and not the race swaps, which are temporary, like Michael B. Jordan playing Human
well,
Torch was a temporary thing. It doesn't just because somebody
but
black played him
how
back
but how
then
does
doesn't
that
mean that they're going to recast.
but how
Um,
does that like how does that really to me like that doesn't
okay,
really
here's
work.
what happens. Here's how. Here's
That like to me like
a
that doesn't
hundred
really
years from now, we're
mhm.
gonna say, where are all the black characters in Marvel? And we're gonna realize, oh, it's just because they would
Do you
do
think
black
that's a
character,
trend?
they would do black
So
versions
so you
and
think that
hire
they're
black
just
actors every time,
so
but then
you
they
think af
rebooted and it went to somebody white.
do you
And
think
then
do you think after rebooting they're just not going to cast any more black characters?
no, they'll just put them in different character. We may get a Black Thor then in the new cinematic universe, and then when that is over after 20 years and they reboot, maybe the
Like
Hulk
do
will be
another
black.
I mean,
Maybe
what's
after that it'll be Captain Marvel will be black. And I'm gonna go, we never elevated any black characters. Like thankfully there's Black Panther, but there's nobody else there. All we started doing was just swapping, and we're gonna look at it and understand that it's the same status quo, and none of these are resolutions to the fact that the superhero genre is very one-sided and it's got white people in the lead positions. Just because you temporarily hired Jessica
so
Alba to play the yeah.
so to me there's no like it's going to balance. Like to me I find balance out. So if you have for example, the Fantastic Four, we had like Michael B. Jordan and then, the rest were white. And the next one, if they do a black cast, if they make somebody on the Fantastic Four black, it'll be a different character, and it would probably be a different character that'll be black, and the other one would be white.
Yeah.
But to me, at the end of the day, what we're still seeing on screen is what's important. At least what's important to me isn't following the character from phase to phase. What's important to me is actually being able to see what's on screen. Like
Yeah,
honestly, dude,
no,
like,
but you're satisfied with the attendance factor, and I'm looking at it like there's
but
no
and
long
the
term.
impact factor. like, and the impact factor. Like, I'm
The
not gonna be
impact
cool.
is
Like, I wouldn't be cool if
Mm.
they recast all the next ones in the next phase of sidekicks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not cool with like diminishing an
Rhodey
impact
is
factor.
going to be a sidekick when they reboot.
But then we may have another black, like, you may have another black character that's elevated in another different role in the next one. Like,
Yeah, but then all that elevation that's happening with this other black character, like pick a character for example, just for example.
pick one. Let's go with. Oh, that's a Hawkeye.
Exactly. No,
Hawkeye.
exactly. But
Let's go with Hawkeye. You just saying pick a random character, right?
But like, okay, anyways, if they do Rhodey and they made him seem important because they gave him a movie and it's not going to be a Tony movie, it's going to be Rhodey. I'm just saying when the reboot happens in about 6-7 years and they start all over again and they get someone else to play Rhodey, Rhodey will be a side character in the Iron Man movie that they do.
That's
Like,
fact.
that's back to his position. And I'm saying it's more beneficial to get lead characters with leads in their own franchise. Photon, someone like that who can support herself, utilize that character to maximize, treat that character the same way that you treat Tony Stark and Bruce Banner and Spider-Man and everyone. Make them franchise worthy. That has ramifications at a long term. And everything you're looking for and that you're complimenting when it comes to Reed Richards, if he was black, it'd be inspirational. All of that will be accomplished with a Monica Rambeau Photon, who's always going to be black movie. You educate the audience that is movie worthy. Everything you're telling me now.
So you want the race to dictate the story. Like, you want.
When did I say I want the race to dictate
no, what I'm saying is if you got a black character, if they don't have plans in their story when they make it to like, if they're thinking story first, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if they're thinking story first, like if you think about how like they're pulling inspiration from a comic event like Secret Wars, and they're like story first, like these characters would be here, and it kind of works in the story because of the dynamic they have, persona they have.
And if they just choose all white characters, then I am saying no. Hold on a minute. You have a very exclusionary storyboard over here. You got a white character in your first movie, your first 10 movies, and I'm gonna speak up. So
I would prefer the story to like. I would prefer the character. I prefer the characters to be more like themselves in the comics.
I prefer don't be hateful, don't be racist, and exclude black characters from.
But that's the thing, though. Like,
or every other character too. There are superhero stories and superhero stories, the fantasy genre. Anybody can fit in. Anyone, anywhere can fit. Now, if they're gonna be leading with, I guess, Captain America and Iron Man again, that's fine. I understand it. That's how you roll. But when we have how many franchises are in the MCU, when you consider Guardians and Ant-Man and Doctor Strange and Thor, there's so many. You better not just make them exclusively white, or I'm going to speak up. So yeah, while it may sound like I'm saying the story must be changed, it may sound like I'm saying it must be dictated for inclusion. It's really not that hard of an ask to ask for a Photon movie and a Black Panther movie, along with the Shang-Chi movie, while you're doing Thor and the Hulk and Captain America.
Again, my rebuttal to all of that is just, I feel them doing, like, I just really feel them doing both, bro. Like, I just honestly feel them doing both. And even when we go into the next phase, even if Rhodey might not be the same elevator Rhodey, I feel like we're at a different, Marvel is at a different place or trying to have a different agenda, whether it's genuine or not, that they're going to have a black character be on the next Avengers. That they're going to have somebody be elevated on that next Avengers, whether that be an original black character or somebody who is recasted as a black character. And to me, at that point, when the toys come out, when kids are playing with toys, when things come out, it's going to be a black character.
For about 10 years, and then
and that's cool. That's a childhood. Like, that's something that's something that you're growing up on. And I'm not taking a risk.
You're growing up on something that'll be expired. Why don't you grow up on something that'll always be there? Because the Black Panther character will always be black.
So they killed
T'Challa, but still.
Let's think about Phase 4. Phase 4 was about them trying to elevate these C-level characters up to trying to essentially take these C-level characters and give them their own movies, trying to elevate them, right? Even to the extent of Ant-Man. Ant-Man never slaps because as much as they tried to elevate Ant-Man to be an Avenger in Quantumania,
they put him in Kang in his movie. They told you this is an important character.
It flopped. If there's not interest in that character, it flops. To me, it's like, one, I don't want to stop an actor from getting a role. I'm for the best act. If you
Yeah,
not,
I'm for the role. I'm for the role being a
if you're
black
not,
superhero.
if this person is not from, a place that's geographically dominated by a certain race. So
Hmm.
essentially, if you're from America, your story and it's not in the 60s, you know what I mean? If it's not something that like really overtakes the race and culture, like if we live in today's culture to where it's possible to make sense, I want you to have the best actor for the role. And to me, the majority, it's gonna sound, probably like whatever, but to me, majority of the best actors right now are black. Like at least maybe that's just the way I consume media. Maybe that's just like, I mean, I feel like the greatest actor of all that we have alive right now is black. So it's like you're gonna give those roles to the best character. If the best person to play Magneto is Juan Carlo, don't sell us short and giving us, and that's exactly what they did with Kane. Like as effed up as it is with Jonathan Majors, I can't think of another like a dude better to play Kang the Conqueror other than this dude that's got that versatility like Jonathan Majors. Now you telling me we want to sell what villain do you want to elevate to play the role of Kang the Conqueror that's black in the comics already, or that you want to go through and make that time, or if you want to
Everything
build.
takes time. That's the answer to your question.
Mhm.
You tell Kevin Feige to influence Marvel Comics today and say, "Hey, cut
And he
out
said that
this."
5 years. He said that 5 years right now out. So in the comics, he's like the comics are about 5 years ahead of us right now. I didn't mean to cut you off,
He
but
said that.
yeah, it was like in a recent. It was like in an interview that I've kind of heard on stream, but it's like he's like we're kind of right now the comics are like 5 to 10 years ahead of what we're planning with the movies. So keep
That's
that
a,
in
that
mind. Like
that's but that's not always been the case with Infinity Gauntlet
yeah,
happening.
that's the way they are now. Like if you think about like the Celestial, what they did like the Defenders Beyond, like with Celestials and everything,
All
like
right.
when
So
explaining that power structure. Yeah,
I'm trying to say that Kevin Feige, or not Kevin Feige. Oh, fuck, I
my
was on a
fault. I
roll.
cut you off. My bad.
Okay, you brought up that there's black actors. Well, there's two things about black
Mhm.
actors. One is about 2K, which I'll get to later. But the black actors that are going to be there getting those spots playing white characters. Fine. The satisfaction of our we need to have black enough casting has been satisfied. Now, this, because Reed Richards and because Magneto are played by black actors, this now takes screen time away that would have gone to actual black characters. And I only recognize the damage that it takes from another black character being elevated into the status of being as important as the Fantastic Four. I see that as as a huge problem. I also recognize the YouTube audience who are very deceitful and hateful and want to call people to their racist messaging. And they are going to use some convincing language like, we're being replaced. We, the white people, are. What's wrong with being white anymore? Why are they keeping on taking it from us? They're robbing us. They're saying it's not okay to be white anymore.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna be like, I know that there's gonna be young people who will be influenced by that, maybe naive too. But there are some people who will hear that and go, okay, maybe that's what's happening there. Maybe that is something, and then they can continue watching that
My
hateful
re-
person.
my rebuttal to that is that and it's going to sound kind of contradictory to everything I've been saying. I don't care. Like they are not going to get rid of, as long as the white male is in charge of that. They're not going to completely get rid of that. To
That
me, it
doesn't
is.
change that influential 13-year-old who's like, oh, this guy's right. They're not. They're
Well, no,
not. They're,
because to me, they're going to always have Spider Man. They're going to always have Doctor Strange.
hey,
Iron Man's going to
will
come
that
back.
kid be
Yeah,
radicalized by that hateful YouTuber? Yes or no? Yes.
yeah, but I mean that's happening now. Like that happens
Yeah.
already. That's
Let's
been
not
happening.
cause more. Let's
Happened.
not add.
That's been happening since 2008. Like with the like that's been going on forever, and that's not going to change. And honestly, I think the more time goes on, like the way these kids are nowadays, like yeah, you do it. Maybe I'm blind into what I see, like when I'm walking around, like cause I do a lot of summer camps and stuff. Like when I'm around that, from
Mm.
what I see, majority of these kids, and I live in rural Virginia, majority of these kids are hella progressive. So it's like it's to the point where I don't. You're gonna always have your folks saying that, but I don't think it's gonna necessarily be to where it's ever going to become something substantial, if you will, especially to where the way the demographics and the way these kids are now, the way these Gen Z kids view things nowadays. they're gonna like that.
You know
Like,
what? There's a lot more inclusion. This thing opens the world to them. So someone who grew up where it's not black people in their lives at all,
mm,
like that's kind of an olden days. Now media has become so much, and like TikToks and stuff have feature a multitude of people, and you're laughing and enjoying people who don't look like you, and that's better off. I think it's that the younger people have. So maybe the humanization factor when it comes to other people who are not looking like you, no matter what you look like. I think it's more uniting actually.
and to be clear, chill. Like, I really feel like what you're talking about is valid. Like, I feel like there is room, and they should be elevating more black characters. But like, my thing is too, at the same time, like, that's not. I feel like there was one room to do both because of the volume of projects that they've done, and also too, I don't know if they're at the spot even right now, or if they will be at the spot. Like, we just talked about how the trajectory is like not going up right now, right? Like, I don't think they're at the spot to say let's make a Man of movie. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they're at the spot to say let's just make a Storm solo movie. Like,
She doesn't have to have a
I'm
solo
not.
movie,
I don't.
but in the X-Men movie, let's not make her the seventh name on the
Yeah.
casting. Like, let's promote her.
Even to Blade, like Blade will, I feel like, really boost itself on the nostalgia of Blade. Like, if it wasn't for the original Blade that came out, like back in the '90s, that saved Marvel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Long-term
like,
ramifications. Something that happened in the 90s with the Blade and Elite character is now gonna assist the success of this character here, Blade.
mhm.
Can you imagine if Wesley Snipes was playing, I don't know, Captain America or something, and then they decided to do a Blade movie now in 2023? It wouldn't hit the same. There is a long-term benefit to a black character being introduced to the audience, and it's gonna come to fruition. And I hope Mahershala Ali knocks it out the park. And this movie is another $1 billion hitter for
I hope this
Marvel.
movie slaps too. But I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, it's not. I don't think like it has to be just one way in my mind. And
I
that's
do.
just where
I
I
do.
don't feel like it has to be just one way, because
I, I,
you can't have your legacy black characters that are going to be legacy black like through the whole. I don't think ever in the time of day they're going to swap a black character, an original black character out
Maybe
for.
one day black people will overrepresent in Hollywood, and that'll be the day.
I mean, like, for our percentage, we overrepresent. To be 13% in America, like, we really overrepresent. To me, in media, we overrepresent a lot of races that have higher population than us. Like, we overrepresent the Asians, we overrepresent the Latino community. Like, we overrepresent those, and that has to do with
In
us
lead
being,
roles,
to me, in lead roles and in supporting roles
I
in
don't.
media,
I don't
whether it's
consider
news media.
supporting roles as worth even mentioning. When I think of Marvel and I think of the 31 films that they had, and you got the first Black Panther movie, you
Mhm.
got Wakanda Forever. There's two movies where
But
it's a
I'm
black
comparing them
lead.
to the other minority, like comparing them to
The rest of
your Asian,
Hollywood.
where your Asian minority, like your
Shang-Chi is
minority
what,
group.
one out of the 31?
Yeah, it's like we
Or
get,
Eternals too, I
but
guess.
when you think about the market, like when you think about how they try to hit China, when you think about, I believe, what's considered, Asians may be like 1% off from the amount of from the percentage of African Americans in the country. I'm like, it's
Mm.
really not that much of a gap.
And
Like,
it is a global audience though, because you said China, remember that? And
yeah.
China's the second biggest box office
So
grosser.
like, it's
They're not
crazy that,
feeling that. They're not feeling that Kang the Conqueror, Jonathan Majors over there in
but
China.
I'm
I don't
saying, like,
think.
it's crazy that you got all of that and still you got more black pride, like you got more black projects in the MCU. You got more black projects planned in the MCU than you have with those other minorities. So it's like,
You're counting the TV shows too.
yeah, I'm counting the TV shows too.
I don't. I consider films as the highest form of representation, and
Well,
it's
if you
very
even if you go with
Caucasian.
films, even I mean, but I'm saying outside of Caucasian, like Caucasians are a minority in America. To be fair, like I would expect them to have some type of minority, I mean, some type of majority on screen.
Is it
You know what I mean?
17 movies in a row?
That's their f ups. That like
Okay then.
that's their f ups. Like I'm talking about moving forward, like looking forward, and whether the path that they're on right now.
It's more mixed.
Yeah, the path that they're on right now, it is more heavy of diversity than what, of course, we got before everything happened. And like I said, whether it's genuine, I really don't think it's genuine. Like, I really like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like that was something they would have done unless what happened over these last 6, 7 years. happen, right? Like unless we've had this whole movement, everything going on, I don't think that would have happened. So like,
Nah, Victoria Alonso's pretty adamant when it comes to her desires for things. Like I've seen her speak up,
yeah,
and
well, and it's funny because she ain't even there no more. So it's like, she got fired.
I
So
know she got fired, but I'm just saying, like she had some good points. Like she
how
brought a
long was
little
she there though? I
from
mean,
the
I'm
start.
kind of curious. She
She
was there
was
from the
always
start.
there.
Yeah. So maybe she got inspired too over these last 5, 6, 7 years. A lot of these companies have. Like it's just everybody switched up and have gone different
Ooh,
as
Lupita
everything happened.
Nyong'o as Storm Trinity. You think she was wasted as a casting?
I kind of do. I kind of agree with Trinity. Not necessarily as her being Storm, but I feel like she was wasted as a casting. Um, I don't know what character I would like to see her be, but
It's not many. There really
yeah,
are not
it's
that
really
many,
not
bro.
many. Yeah, it's really not that many. And like this thing too, bro. Like it's just not like this shit was again to me like this shit was made in the '60s. Like these characters that this stuff was based on is made from that time period. So it's like the stuff that they're pulling from, the stuff even in this 2015, even in like 2012, like the Secret Wars, the amount of white leads in those comics compared to your one T'Challa and the Illuminati. Like the balance ain't they, the balance ain't there as to where I feel like the MCU wants to make it appear that they would want it now. Um so in case like I do feel like they will be elevating someone like Monica Rambeau
I hope so.
up. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm personally like wish they just get rid of Captain Marvel and elevate Monica Rambeau.
No,
But
no, no. See, we
see,
can't
I
get rid
don't
of a white character for somebody black. No, let's not say
well, if
that.
it's Brie, then it'll be cool though.
No, it's
If
not
it's Brie
okay, even
Larson,
if
if
it's
it's Brie
Brie.
Larson, they will be cool with it if it's Brie Larson, bro. If it's Brie, like if there's one character that they would be cool with getting rid of,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean that
it'd
group
be
don't
Brie.
that group don't
Nah,
care
because
about
at the end
white
of the day, Brie's a white woman.
that
That's
group
not
don't
gonna
care
change.
about white women anyway.
They-
Like that group that gets mad about that, they don't care about white women anyway.
I
So
don't know. I got to see the pyramid and where they got women and where they got skin tone. I don't know.
well, I mean, best believe the woman is above the rest of the skin
Oh
tones,
yeah.
but it's still not like it don't ring the alarm. Like the fire on the second floor don't ring the alarm when you're on the 50th. Like they don't care. That ain't make sense. But
That's why it sucks for Lizzo. She got black and she got woman. There was no saving her.
oh, segue, huh? So let's talk about Mando. Let's switch off on Mando. Hold on. Any parting thoughts you got on this? Because like we've spoke about this before on your channel, and it's always an interesting conversation to get into. Any parting thoughts on it?
No, I'm good.
All
I
right,
think
are we
we
good?
did long
Yeah,
enough.
we
But
did. We did.
with
We
Rama
did a lot
Tut
of
and
yeah.
with Rama Tut and the Moon Knight connection,
Mhm.
it's believable, and especially how they're delaying Moon Knight and they're not exactly filming it right away.
Mhm.
It probably does have to do with rewriting and maybe some inclusion, maybe some threading, because after Christmas, it's clear, it's obvious that they had a meeting. It's been reported on. The Marvel executives are thinking about the future now. So while the Captain Marvel movie has been filmed and Guardians has been filmed, everything after that, I expect to see a different Marvel. I think Phase 5, the new phase of Marvel starts after we see Captain Marvel 2 in November. Then it'll be like, okay, this is what has come since they decided to change their minds and go a separate direction.
I just had this shit pop up on my screen. My fault. I just had something pop up on my screen. That shit.
Now we're going back to the Mandalorian.
Yeah,
And
let's
this
switch to the
episode was
Mandalorian.
all right. This episode was decent to
You
me.
thought it was decent?
I liked the Mandalorians. I like that pro wrestler chick that they got
I
next
love
to
Sasha
Axel
Banks.
Wolves. Isn't she just the greatest, legit boss?
She's the finest one in Star Wars. She's the finest woman in Star Wars. Like a lot of people go to. I don't mean to sidetrack you, but a lot of
No,
people
no,
go to
I'm
like
just worried about your woman that's might be listening to this conversation right here.
she might be, but they they go Padme. Um, people say Padme, but I think Sasha Banks. There's not a lot I feel like in Star Wars to choose from. um, yeah, and, it helps that she's a sister too. Uh, so yeah, continue though. My bad, I mean to cut you off.
Yeah, like we got sidetracked because of Casca Reeves. So Casca's in here. That's cool. She didn't have much speaking roles, unfortunately, but good to see someone from the wrestling world show up. Okay, the cameos were crazy. Her, Lizzo, Jack Black, Christopher Lloyd. That was the theme of this episode. That was just
Wait,
the
her
thing.
was in there?
When I said her, I meant we're talking about Mercedes.
Okay. You said her. I thought you were talking about her.
Would you consider her more than a cameo then,
No,
just
I
because
thought you were
she's been
talking about
here?
her.
All right.
I thought you were talking about the actual her. Like when you were listing out the names, you said her, and I thought you were talking about the singer her. And I was like, oh.
She was in here. She was on the Ugnaughts. I think one of them Ugnaughts though, it's probably the same actor who played Queel, the same actor who
uh,
plays all the other shorter dwarf characters. That'd be cool. Like they've got some like they've got loyalty there. They'll use the same guy who plays the Wookiee as
mhm.
like another alien, just like, oh, come on set, bro. You're our guy. And they can just have a bigger table when they get to their conventions. They can have more pictures of who they played. And that's just a good thing that Star Wars has been doing, where they keep their actors in house. Just because you play Jar Jar Binks doesn't mean you can't be Kellerman Beck. Star Wars takes care of their actors, and the community loves them for that. A lot of repeat. Like, oh, Jon Favreau. He's voiced two characters now, where he plays Paz Vizsla in Mandalorian, and the toy came out, and it did sort of look like Jon
Mhm.
Favreau, which is cool. Maybe he unmasks at the end of the other series. This is the way they take off their masks, and we get to see all the Mandalorians. And I hope we get to see some alien faces there too. Like it can't just all be human
I
people
would
who
love
took
to
the
see
tree.
that. I
Give
would
me
love
some.
to see some aliens pop up out of there.
Oh,
Because I've thought that too. Like, are there aliens that are like Mandalorian as well? Because they brought in like the weirdest shit was like when they brought in those like dragons as as um
foundlings,
as foundlings. I was like, wait a minute, like what's the cutoff? Like, what's the cutoff to be a foundling? Like,
and they can't speak. So how are they going to do the
yeah,
creed?
yeah. Like, what is the cutoff? Does it mean they're just a pet? Like,
Someone said, I think K-Dot said they're going to be flying on those. Little Grogu's going to be commanding that. And he's been pretty animal sensitive when it comes to
yeah, I'm
controlling
with
it.
that. Like, I'm with them. Like, actually using that, and I can see the
Uh,
proper use for. But for them to call him a foundling, be like, I just brought back something, something useful. I mean, I guess it's just the term maybe they use, but it's never going to say the creed. Um, so Trinity put this in here. It says, "I don't think the last episode was as bad as everyone made it out to be." You're on the same kind of boat, right?
yeah. The last episode, while there was some middle stuff and bad acting, performancing, it took me out of Star Wars. When I got to the mystery of, look, it's the Christopher Lloyd character the whole time, I
Mhm.
thought it was cool. I thought the chase scene against that battle droid was nice. Reminded me a lot of nostalgic moments from Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith.
Mhm.
It was a good, enjoyable episode for me. Then when you come to the end, how could we be mad? I was watching Obsession just yesterday, flipping out at everyone who's upset because Star Wars Obsession, he's a fan. But he gives you the way that he believes, right? He never sugarcoats just for the sake of it. That fighting sequence, the shield came up. There was a
Mhm.
reason why the Axe used flamethrower. That was the last move that he did. There was Bo-Katan who had the knife over here and said, like, yield. Like, I'm not the type to go all out. Very much character like that character. Um, it was so true and good, and it was
See,
shot on a TV budget.
see, to me, that's where I picked up on the episode because,
Okay,
yeah, like everything else, and that to me is why, like, I feel like the episode was kind of bad. Like, they lost me from the moment they had the Mon Calamari kissing the other alien. Like, bro, this ain't Mando. You know what I mean?
uh-huh,
Like, this doesn't feel like Mando. Like, you know what I
uh-huh.
mean? Like, that's Mando got me into Star Wars. Like, I don't know if you know, like I never watched Star Wars at all. Like, not a single movie. The most I knew about Star Wars was from Family Guy. So like I after I watched like the first 5 minutes of Mando, I cut that shit off and I went through and watched all the Star Wars. I watched the season of Mando and then spent that time watching Clone Wars and everything. And I got into it. So
Side note. Do you want to rewatch those Family Guy episodes and then we can talk about it? That'll be a cool video.
yo, I might actually be down. Do they still do those? Like, did they?
We'll watch the old ones that you.
I was curious though. Like, did they? I'm curious though. Like, I wonder if they did like the sequel trilogy
I wonder if they're allowed to because they are owned on
nowadays.
Disney, and Disney will probably be like, "Hey, you can't insult our own thing." There may be, right? No, they maybe
Mm,
say, "Don't roast the sequels. Don't talk about how Snoke
they are
died." And
touchy about the sequels. Like, I don't know. This it'd be perfect for Family Guy to do the sequels, but yeah,
maybe some
they
more
might be
years
dicey.
removed because they are
Yeah,
still on the sequels for the theme parks and other revenue sources because of the sequels. So it's not out of the picture yet. It's not, but it will be able to be slandered eventually.
but yeah,
In
back to what I was
future, Sorry, yeah, you're saying
Yeah,
you're
back
you're
to what I was
few.
saying though. Yeah, this shit just like it took me out like from what I know Star Wars to be something different from what other people know Star Wars to be. I gravitate to Mandoverse. I gravitate um like Rebels is really like my shit. Like I like Rebels a lot. Like Ezra's my favorite character. So like I gravitate to that kind of side of Star Wars rather than like the I don't know, kind of royal Star Wars. Like to me, like technically speaking, Lizzo and Jack Black were talking like you would expect them to be talking in the 80s, like in those 80s movies. Like I don't think it would have felt that off to see them talking and having that dialogue like that. But like in the Mando show and from what I feel from Star Wars, like the whole thing really just felt like not Star Wars. It felt like what people would call I'm not one of those like Disney haters, but it feels like what people would call Disney Star Wars type of shit. Like it just didn't feel legit. And even to the mystery, like, even to like the whole droid mystery, like I was not invested in it. Like, if there was anything to make me invest, the only thing that piqued my interest is when I saw the Ugnaughts there and they were working with those units. Didn't it look like they had like, I don't know. I didn't go back and watch it again, but did they have IG-11 units there that were standing up?
I was not paying attention. I don't know.
Like
Sorry.
the
I know
yeah.
like they said I have spoken. That was cool, but I don't know what
But
they
yeah,
were
like
working
when
on.
it was in the scene, like it was like they had stuff in the background. I don't know if it was like regular droids or whatever, but one of them kind of looked slender and like I just wasn't that zoned in on that part, but it
It
kind of
was
made me feel like
IG-12.
a G12. Okay, like they were saying like they're gonna put Grogu in one of those suits, like that's like one of the rumors, or at least that he's gonna get an IG-11 suit
It was
outfit.
super battle droids that's chilling in
Oh,
these suits.
okay, okay. Well, either way, like he knows their skills and being able to work with that. So I mean, I felt like that was going to be the connection, but that never came to fruition. But to me, that drug me out of the episode to the point to where I got to the Mando stuff. I was like,
All right, the
I was
Mando
down.
stuff and the stuff that drug you out of the episode was United. You want to know why? Thanks to these like Easter egg videos. In the first season,
Mm,
when Grief Cargo is offering a whole bunch of bounties, one of them you got to see like one of those uh, Mon Calamari, and they're like,
mm,
"This is a royal son. Do you want this?" He's like, "Nah, I don't want that stuff." Well, that character at the beginning of this episode, that Mon Calamari, was
mm.
exactly the bounty that was
That was
put
him.
out. That was the same bounty. And that little clip from a Bryce Dallas Howard episode for season one came back in Bryce Dallas of season three. Does that make it better at least a little
No,
bit?
no, it doesn't. It's cool, but no.
It's cool, but it's
It's
not
cool, but
better.
no, it doesn't make it better for me at all. Like that was unnecessary. Like I felt like it was something they wanted to do because they wanted to do it. Like I didn't have to know what those Mandalorians were doing. And if they were doing something, I could at least seen them fighting, at least seen them doing something that was cooler than what they ended up doing. But like at the end, I was so taken out of what happened at the beginning. Like at the end, it just made everything feel so mid. Like so the fight was dope. All right, like
Okay.
no doubt, like anytime they have like Katie Sackhoff's like shout out to her because from last season to this season, like she's really stepped into the persona of Bo-Katan. Like it feels like I'm watching the actual like animated Bo-Katan in real life.
The
Like
book
that
of
joke,
Bo-Katan.
yeah, that joke slapping, right? Like it's like she's there with it. So like the action in it looked great. Like there's no doubt around it. The dialogue around the saber, maybe I am just hurt. Like maybe I'm just I don't know hurt or just don't agree with that decision or path. Maybe that's what that is.
Do you
But
mean
that
that the fact that Din lost the battle to that monster, the monster was defeated by Bo-Katan? You don't
yeah.
agree with that?
I mean, like, was that the plan all along to wait to give? Like, was it the plan all along to wait to give that up at that moment for Den and Bo? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Den didn't want that shit the whole time. Like, he didn't really want it, right? Or did he? I don't know. Like, he fought pre Vizsla for it. Like, at one point, he wanted to give it to Bo-Katan, and she didn't want it. She couldn't take it. So, like,
So yeah,
if he
somewhere
wanted,
along the line, he wanted it again.
yeah, but like, if he wanted out from the saber, then he should have been like the moment they got up out of that cave, this is yours. It's not like to me, it's just hella convenient that they're gonna wait until that moment out of everything they've been going through with the armor and talking and all that stuff, that they're gonna wait until that moment to give her the saber. Now, I can't say that like if you know if he wanted to keep the saber, that makes sense, and that he's giving it up reluctantly in order to help all of the Mandalorians unite because that's what he want to give to Bo. You know what I
So
mean?
we can say that he just got the idea at the
At the
appropriate time
moment,
for the goal of uniting Mandalorians. Because when he was all that time with the armor, all that
yeah,
time there with the Mandalorians that he's been living with, maybe he's been there for like a week. All of that, that wasn't exactly the right time for this. But now, I can unite Mandalorians by offering this. I just had an idea here. That's weak. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, I don't know. Like it feels weak to me. I would have much rather seen Din and Bo be the united force together. Like let Din's claim to the rule. Let Din's claim to ruling Mandalore be the Mythosaur.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, go ahead. Like that's Chad. That's what I'm thinking. Like let Din's path to ruling Mandalore be the dark saber. Let Bo's path to ruling Mandalore be the Mythosaur. Like to me, that just makes sense and that adds up. But it just takes a lot away from the season, from just being Mandalore, just to give it the thing. So, oh my god, dang, chilling in the basement been going off. Hold on, let me catch up. Um, the episode should taken less than 10 minutes. Put it at the beginning to give us more story. Exactly, chilling in the basement. Whose chat were you in triggering? I didn't see that shit. This was episode 6. The time for the fluff is over. I would say like episode 6. What you think about this comment, Chill? Just episode 6. The time for fluff is over. If there's time for fluff,
Mm-hmm.
I would take it in episode 6. I don't think it's a bad time for fluff. I just don't think it was well executed fluff. What do you think?
Is fluff the lesser of the filler? Because we
I
can't
think
say what
so.
happened at the beginning and the ending was
I,
fluff.
I think fluff is less than filler. It's fluff. Like the episode wasn't filler, but the majority of the episode was like pointless to what's
It was
happening.
contained.
Yeah, it was
I, I,
contained. That's a great word. It was contained.
it was contained. There was some recognition of Jack Black's character, how he had to wear the emblem because he was reformed. Okay,
Mm.
that connected to one of the episodes prior. No, that was all right. That was something.
I think they just did that to make you think that it was him. Like, and nobody knew. Like, I had no doubt in my mind that it was him. I mean, that it wasn't him. You know what I mean? Like, he was never a suspect, but I feel like that was like a play to make him be a suspect.
Grogu was knighted by our Lizzo friend there.
That's gonna come back, right? Maybe
Like,
that,
how long is this guy going to be alive for? That may be
yeah.
really important in a movie we watch 20 years from now.
Hopefully not 20 years. Dude, I don't want to wait 20 years from now to see Grogu actually grow up, bro. But we got to, right? Like, shit. Damn, they should have made Grogu like fucking 100 or something, bro. I don't know. Like, I'm waiting to see Grogu grow up. I don't know about you, but this
I'm
is
ready to hear him talk, but it is about time we have the toy where you squeeze him and he says words.
yo. What if it's possible that Grogu is a clone and he has age acceleration?
Do you like that? They're doing that sort of stuff with Omega where they said that she has a sister. And I'm like, oh, just cloning. Can
No,
I just
like, well,
clone?
no, that stuff with Omega, like, no, like, I'm not with that
Well,
sister shit.
same thing with Grogu. He'll
But
have
Grogu is
brothers.
like Grogu. Well, I wouldn't want him to have brothers. I would just want to be able to pull it off once. Like it takes a perfection type shit to be able to like. That's probably why they need him back because like they probably need him to be able to do it again or some shit. Like, but damn, Grogu can't be a clone because he was in the fucking temple. Never mind. He's not a clone.
No.
He's not a clone. Damn it. I'm just trying to get Grogu to be like an actual motherfucking like
An actual what?
an actual person, like an actual like maybe teenager or something. Like to be able to actually do something other than maybe speak. You know,
I'm over the
maybe
Grogu. I'm over the
I may be
puppet.
the baby Grogu like shit, bro.
How do you feel about the puppetry? Because it's never been my thing. I love that George Lucas said, "I have the technology to fix my old stuff," and so now all the Phantom Menace on Disney Plus and anything that they release is always gonna have the CG VFX version of Yoda. Better than puppetry.
I felt at this point, there's no need to do a puppet. Like, at this point of where we're at, there's no need. But, I mean, I respect Star Wars for being Star Wars, I guess. Like, I respect them. To me, it's not my play. Like, I'm not like a diehard lifetime Star
No,
Wars fan. I enjoy the content. I'm a fan of it. But I'm never gonna ride or die over my take for like, I'm never gonna go and tell somebody who's been watching it for the last 20 some years or 30
I
some years
I'm
that
saying
they
that.
can.
Yeah, I'm telling
Yeah.
all of you guys who've been watching 20 years, the nostalgia of puppetry, stop motion, all those are so cool. Who cares? Though they were restricted by the technology of their time in the 80s, and that's why the
We're not
movies
now.
now I need robotic droids. I don't need people who are inside droid costumes anymore. Beep boop boop.
Hold up, dude. Hold on. I need to ask you this though. Because you're speaking of it, right? There is a shot when they're on Mos Eisley, and that droid, um, that's on Mos Eisley, that's like Grief Karga's like communication droid or whatever. Bro, this shit looks so like it looks like he has on a t-shirt
Okay.
under like the metal, bro. Like Star Wars, bro. Like, let me pull this. What did he go to? Yeah.
Navarro?
Oh, Navarro. Yeah, what did I say?
You
Most
said
Eisley.
Moss Eisley,
Yeah,
but you said Grief
Navarro.
Karga.
Yeah, Navarro. I'm gonna try to find it right now.
I'm not ready to see this because I'm always mad every time that I see these sort of what's Babu Frick's character? What's Babu Frick's species? The Anzilians. Those
Mhm.
things are so weird to me. They're so puppety, and I go, oh yeah, yeah, the puppet thing again. Okay, yeah, that's what George had. And those ships were not actually they were models with a little micro photography to
I'm gonna
make
try
them
to
look like
find
they
it.
were big.
I hate I hate how Disney Plus's scroll like feature is. Like, all right. Oh, damn it. All right, bet. I'm gonna stop it. All right, bet. I'm right here at it though.
Uh-huh.
This shit looks so shabby to me. I want to ask you if I'm the only one that feels like it just looks like a dude in a fit. Damn, it just went right past it. This is like a dude in a fit with a t-shirt on under it. Like, to me, if you're a robot and you have
What?
wires showing, it shouldn't be black right there, right? Here we go. Boom. This can I zoom
You're
in on this?
right.
You know what I mean? Like right here.
I want to see something invisible, like
Let
see-through
me see
thing.
through him.
Some rods.
Am I tripping? You see what I'm saying? Like, why is his middle black? Like, if I'm seeing wires and his whole body is like,
Yeah.
why is the middle back black and not clear?
I need holes. Let me see what's behind him. Or don't do it.
Or
Don't
don't
use
do it.
this droid.
Just have the whole thing covered up. And I know it sounds nitpicky, but like if it sticks out to me, like I can't help it. Like if it sticks out to me and I see it, it looks weird. Green Bear. I know you go hard. Green Bear like to be a little. I don't know if you know Green Bear, but he like to be a little pessim. He act like he pessimistic, but he'll ride hard for Star Wars. Tell me, bro, does this not look cheap, shabby? Like, do better. All right, but
Hmm.
anyway, back to what we were talking about. Like before you had to step away real quick. It'll probably bring it to a closer a little bit, but I was talking about Den and Bo. It just pissed me off that like I felt like where they were leading and felt like what would have been better to have happen was to have Den have his claim to the throne with the dark saber, and have Bo-Katan have her claim to the throne with the Mythosaur, and have them rule together as I said king and queen, but queen and knight sounds a lot better. Like she has an affinity for Grogu. I feel like she's starting to care a lot about Din. Like I don't that doesn't necessarily have to lead to them hooking up. But if it leads to her having him as a high court, like in high court with the dark saber, I felt like leads to a better story for the Mandalorians moving
Yeah,
forward.
it would. Yeah.
And like that's what that kind of ticked me off. And like it's just kind of like is my show about to end? Like, are we really about to end with like Din Djarin not is Din Djarin about to go his separate way? Um, I don't know. Like that's what really makes me like kind of rubs me the wrong way about this episode. Like the season to me has been dope. Like I've really been enjoying the season, but the last episode felt wonky. It didn't feel like Mando. It felt more like a Boba Fett episode. And then this episode was just straight up like more downhill. But shit, like I don't know, like I still think they could pull it together by the end. But shout out to Fernie for that comment.
If I told you on paper that, and you haven't seen this episode yet, if I told you on paper, this is the episode where Din and Bo-Katan recruit all those mercenary Mandalorians she mentioned earlier and succeeds in it, and there's a fight, you'd be happy. But knowing the fluff in between that we're calling, yeah.
And it didn't need like
And there was no cleavage.
no. Look, let me tell you though, we didn't even need that. Like we didn't need them the fluff. Like they could have, like somebody I think Children in the Basement said, like they could have handled this shit in 10 minutes and moved the story forward from there. You know what I mean? Like I get maybe they wanted to save Din, maybe they wanted to save Bo getting the saber until the end of the episode. But you know what would have been cool? Is if during that episode something went down and Din had to be saved and Bo could have picked up the Bo could have saved it and then in front of everybody. Cause that's one thing that kind of pisses me off too, is that they all just hear it and believe it and they're riding with it. Like I know some people gotta be like, nah, that's bullshit. Like, you don't got no contestants to that. Everybody's gonna be like, she has a saber now since she's not queen. I don't know. It's just I hate
No,
to
my
sound nitpicky, but it
modification
just
to this
throw me off.
episode, I would have Axe Wolves rather than just appearing at the beginning and ending. I have him in the middle, and they would have a scene where Jack Black's character rings them up. Hey, Bo-Katan Kryze just arrived on this planet. She's a Mandalorian. She's gonna request an audience with you.
Mm-hmm.
What do I say? And then Axe Wolves will be, you let her know. You send her up to where, and we're at right here. And then this camera stays on Axe Wolves, and you hear the Mandalorians discuss a little something. Maybe insight on what they've been up to, whether or not they play a part into the Moff Gideon. Maybe they could say something that that alludes to us that they still hate Moff Gideon, and that'll go like, oh yeah, well we saw Carson Teva a week ago discover Mandalorian armor or Beskar, and so we may think that it made us think that it was them. This will confirm it's not them. So we would have gotten an answer if we just had a scene in the middle of the two scenes with Axe Wolves, just to have that explained. A little bit more of Mercedes as well. Never hurts. That'd be the solution to this fluff. I mean, it's still gonna be a lot of fluff. You cannot unfluff the Lizzo acting in the other, but it's better.
My fix would be with the fluff. I would have rather them got there and had issues with what was happening. Like,
but it would still be contained a story within
well,
itself. They resolved
but
it because
it'd been more
solved the
thrilling.
mystery.
It would be more thrilling. Like to me, there was no challenge to what they did, and that's what I really have issue with the fluff. Is that there's no like to me there's no like stakes.
Yeah.
It didn't really feel like it battle droids like they can handle those. Like it even the shots that they showed us of the accidents, it felt like just like some like wonkety woo type shit. Like it didn't feel like no like real type like we're in danger type shit, right? So like if they had made it to where fuck, they go there, they get fucking captured or some shit. Like they go that they can't, they have to get out, or the fact that he trusted Grogu to go with the queen so easily, type shit. Like that to me, if they made it to where it was more of a conflict to where they had to fight or do something to get to the rest of the Mandalorians, then that even if my homie was like, no, don't send them, and they had to fight to get over there. They had to find their way to get over there to meet with Axe Wolves. That would have been better to me than just having them go through that mediocre investigation to figure that shit out. But like I said, like people like it, they like it, but to me, shit.
I'll take the good with the bad and appreciate the good.
You take the good, take the bad, mix them up. You have Facts of Life show. You know that shit? You know, did I just you don't know the take the good, take the bad, mix them up in there. You have the Facts of Life. You don't know that shit?
No.
I never seen the show, but I just know the song for some reason. You know the Thank You for Being a Friend shit?
Travel down the road, back again.
That shit, yeah. It's around like, you know, it's not like a slap or like a banger like that, but it's like it's up there. It's no like Family Matters type shit, but it's up there in the scales of like old sitcom.
And just like it doesn't have to be the very best for it to be good, same thing with the best actor for the role is Giancarlo Esposito. I'll take a guy with a 99 overall rating on 2K over Giancarlo Esposito, who may be number 100. We'll still make a lot of money and a lot of benefit.
I want to see my black folk eat any way possible. So, and not to say that you don't want to, because I know you like.
I know you did.
Yeah, like not to say that, but like to me, it's like if they eating and my kids can see that, like, dude. And the
and Marvel Studios should make opportunities that don't.
I'll put it this way, bro. They had the Beyonder in the Moon Girl show that's on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
I was watching it with my daughter, and they had the Beyonder in there, and the Beyonder's black. He's like, so you know how like the Kane
Lawrence Fishburne, right?
Was that Lawrence Fishburne's voice?
Yeah, he even like executively produces this thing. He's got a role in it also.
I had no idea. See, like we don't watch it like that, so like I don't.
It's not in Canada either. I can't watch it.
Yeah, she's not. I don't think she's into the show for real. Because like she watches like she watched Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. Like she loves that shit. She loves the Marvel. What are those things called? They're on Disney Plus, but it's like cartoon versions of the newer Marvel characters. I'm forgetting what
Marvel Rising.
Marvel Rising. Yeah, she likes those, and I'm like,
nice.
yeah, like she loves those, but like I don't know, she couldn't get into Devil Dinosaur. But yeah, like you know, the Beyond is supposed to be a Kane variant, and they got the dude in there black. You know, it's like let her see that shit. Like to me, it's like that value is not being wasted. There's value in having that right now.
Yeah, I'm not insulting the character of Moon Girl at all. Like I'm supportive of Moon Girl existing in media like that. But she's the lead, and making the Beyonder someone black is like of little it's of little value. It's like,
well, to me, it shows like
what?
To me, it shows the consistency of what they're trying to aim for, what they're working with in MCU. To where the Beyonder,
but the draft, be the number one draft, the number one overall draft pick in the NBA. That would be Moon Girl. So that's support, that's representation. But if I told you, yo, my team wants to trade. Instead of giving you the number one draft pick, you give us the 5th and the 6th and the 7th draft pick. So you get 3 draft picks. Just give us the number one. You would never take that trade, would you? No, never. I want the franchise. I want the main.
But it depends on who's the number one pick. If the number one pick is mids.
At any draft, any single draft.
Well, no, if it was last year's draft, I would have done that. If I could say, if you tell me I could get a number 3 pick, the number 5 pick, and the number 7 pick for the number 1, yeah, I'm doing that.
A 3, a 5, and a 7 for the number 1.
Yeah, unless it's this year with Victor Wembanyama. Like think about last year where Paolo Banchero and Chet Holmgren went 1 and 2. Like
remember, we don't know what their potential. We only know their potential.
We can guess at what their potential. We can take, we can take stabs. Yeah, like I said, you don't know what they're going to come out to be, but you can take stabs. That's what drafting is. You don't know what's going to turn out.
Kendall, year 2030. Okay, on that year, you are the manager of the Toronto Raptors. You know you're going to get the number 1 pick. Somehow you know about that now, 7 years prior. Would you ever swap your number 1 pick for 3, 5, and 7? No, you wouldn't.
Think about what the Bears did this year, because Green Bay.
So you would do it.
Yeah. Depends on this. It's definitely possible. Like if you're telling me, so I don't want to go off the top of my head, and unless if you can't give me a number 1 pick superhero and I can trade them for 3, 4, 5, and 7.
Let's use DC's to be different. Superman is your number 1 pick.
Okay. And then who could I get at 3, 5, 6, and 7?
Okay. You could have, instead of a black Superman, who would be the black characters in DC? I guess I think I'm ruining your question. You're just, what's the question?
Because you're saying you're saying you wouldn't trade a number 1 for a 5, 6, for a 3, 5, and a 7. Right?
A 3, 5, and a 7. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm saying it's like I'm trying to think of a scenario of what you're referring to when it comes to comics, because I would definitely do like the Bears and make a trade for my number 1 and get more draft capital.
Okay.
Like I would definitely be willing to do that, unless it's LeBron James at number 1, which would be Superman, I guess. Unless it's like a surefire generational changing, like this motherfucker might be a GOAT type shit, which is not really that way a lot of times. like a lot of times you're just getting an all-star type of stuff. Then
So
like
it does depend. There are going to be
yeah,
years where like Nerlens Noel was number one, wasn't he?
yeah, but he had high hopes for people had high hopes for him. Or no, they didn't. It was
Michael Carter
Philly that was
Williams.
dumb. It was Philly that was dumb because Philly picked him, and then they picked. I think that was the year they had the number 1 and the number 4, right?
Might have been.
I think they had the number 1 and number 4, and I think they just because they definitely just fucked up Michael Carter Williams.
Hey man, Moon Girl is great. It's awesome. That's the name of the title. That's who's on the posters. That's who's on the advertising when this show is being pushed. BA making the Beyonder also a black character. That's
I was
cool,
pointing out that
but it's
shows
a-
consistency.
All right.
Yeah, I was just pointing out it shows consistency. It's showing like they're doing another iteration. That's not just our very next one we're going to do is white. Like to me, that's like showing consistency what they're doing. Now, to be honest, the next time they do Kang, I don't expect him to be black unless the best actor out there is black. But like, I don't really. As long as they're not cutting off black representation, and as long as they're not having all of our black representation as side roles, like I'm cool with it. I'm fine with it. Like with having a white Kang next.
And I'm for
Because to me, there's
challenging.
oh, go ahead.
I want to challenge the big 5 movie villains of Marvel, which are going to be Doctor Doom, Magneto, Apocalypse, Kang the Conqueror, Thanos. So that's 5. So I want
Galactus.
Galactus is important too. So like the biggest 6 movie villains of Marvel need to have inclusion, and not just by casting a black guy in each of those 6. I want.
So of those you name,
Apocalypse.
one of them is purple.
Yeah, one of them's purple.
One of them wears a mask all the time.
Yeah,
and
we got Magneto. We got. Okay,
so
I'll name 5 villains who are white that are always going to be there. Like what's Dr. Octopus and Green
Well, no, I like
Goblin.
the villains you named though because they're up like they are your like Avenger level threats.
They're pretty big.
Yeah, they are your Avenger level threats. My next question to you would be: is there a black villain out there that makes sense to be an Avengers level threat?
There is not a black villain out there.
How
So
long
the solution is create the black villain, Kevin Feige. Get on the phone and say Marvel Comics, I need black villains.
How long do you think that? So he said he's like 5 to 10 years out. But I mean,
all right, let's do it. Let's get that 5-year solution going.
But my thing is, the last time that they try to rush introduce like black characters,
then do it in 7 years. I don't care.
Yeah. So my thing is, what the kids what are these kids seeing right now? What impact does that have right now?
But Kendall, what you're asking for, or what you're okay with, which is the black version of Kang, what you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
Can we also be getting the real life solution, which I just introduced, which is go to the comic books division?
I say do
and they're not doing both. Okay, good.
Yeah, but I mean, on screen they're not doing it in comics, but on screen they're doing both. Like, look at the amount of black characters.
It's connected. They're not happening in the comics, so it won't happen on screen next reboot. In the next reboot, they'll just do a black version.
That's not the case because it's not that way in comics. So if through that logic, through that logic, it's not these characters that are black in the, they did it with Nick Fury or whatever. But for these characters that are black now, Wonder Man is not white in the comics. You know what I mean? Like they're not.
Wonder Man is white in the comics.
I mean, he's not black in the comics. You know what I mean? Like these characters that are becoming black or getting race swapped, they're not black in the comics. And to me, honestly, that's not. If comics is going to hold up seeing black representation on the screen for millions of more people to see than what's ever going to read the comics, then I'm not with
you're
that.
You're so fixated on now, and I am now. Right now I'm talking about later. I'm talking about in the future. Movies that will be coming out in year 2035. I want them to be different than the movies that are coming out in 2023. In this world that we live in, this reality of the present right now. If I open comic books, I will notice that there are no black superhero or villains like you were asking about. I'm saying to use the time between now and then, use these 12 years to create a black comic book villain that is worthy enough for the future, and that's not happening.
Can that be the ask then? So like,
yes, that's
can that be the ask? Like, do you think there's room to do exactly what you're talking about. Because in my mind, what you're talking about is we're not going to have representation like that for like 5 to 7 years through that way
It's gonna take
until they
time.
build it up. Yeah. So, and what I'm saying is, could that be, I ain't trying to like change your mind, do no shit like that. But like, could that be like the
Okay.
ask? Like, could that be the middle ground of like, could that be
Mm,
the point to like, instead of saying we shouldn't race swap characters for
yeah.
this and this, you say, hey, while you're race swapping characters, could we also build this? You know what I mean? Like, could
The
you also do
reality
that?
of the situation is,
Mhm.
because they're race swapping characters, there's no need for that. They did. We're 20 years removed from
But just
Kingpin.
just warn them. But just warn them about it. My fault. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm
You
just
did
saying, just
call, but it's important. Like
yeah.
Kingpin is being played by Mark or Clark Duncan, and boom, we got a black villain. Look, we're doing enough on the black front as Hollywood in the Marvel. They're just like, oh, we don't gotta actually create black characters because we just do the swapping. Now Kang is the black villain, and in 10 years they'll do another black villain. Magneto's the black villain. That it's like there's a pattern right now that has been shown to me and you, and I'm accepting it, but you're still wishy washy. Maybe it's gonna take a few more reboots for you to realize it, but because they can just swap the black villain or swap white villains and make them black, there's no desire now that to do what me and you were advocating, which is the ask of just make important enough Spider-Man villains who are black, so you don't have to do Jamie Foxx as
Can I
Electro.
say what they actually might be doing? What you're saying? Because what did they do with Blue Marvel in Defenders Beyond? They're elevating him. The bump, like like in Defenders Beyond. To me, they're elevating Blue Marvel's powers. They're elevating his level. To when we get to that point with the Celestial stuff and what's happening with like with the first, like when we get to that point where I think we're headed after Secret Wars, he's going to be there, and that precedence is set in the comics for him to hit that role. Like he's being
Who?
elevated in the comics to rise up to that. Same
Yeah,
thing with America Chavez is was elevated in that as well. Like they're elevating in the comics to where we could see in 5 years when Blue Marvel pops up to where he's been elevated in the comics and it makes sense and it's going and it's on point and it's just exactly what you're asking for.
who wrote that
Right?
comic? What's it called?
What Defenders Beyond?
Who writes Defenders Beyond? It's a Jonathan Hickman, Al Ewing, Jason Aaron, Dan
Mhm.
Slott. Is it Jerry Duggan? Is it
I
Zeb
forgot who
Wells? Is
writes.
it one of the people who get to write the events? Is it drawn by an artist like Valerio Schiti or Pepe Larraz? Is it a high tier Ed McGuinness, Terry Dodson? Like who's in charge of these comics? They put like these little, they're basically assistants. What do you call it?
See, that's out of my league there. I'm not hip with,
So that
I,
matters.
I just read, I just read out of Marvel Unlimited. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not, I'm not that well
Pay
versed with
attention to the
writers. Yeah.
writers.
Yeah.
The people who get to do the summer big blockbuster event comics
Mhm.
are the guys who've been around. They're the same guys who get to do Hulk and the guys who get to
Because
write.
Hickman's got stuff coming up, right? Like
Yeah,
Hickman is supposed
and
to be
it's
doing
coming out in the
yeah,
summer. So
yeah.
the big summer event writers are the ones that matter. Like they can hire a nobody who's like has a couple independent comics and they'll give him a shot. Here, do this character on the side, and then they get to pretend like they're doing some sort of like monumental diversity because of this 5 issue limited series from this person who has some novels under their belt but really isn't going to be part of
So
the.
it feels like you're moving the goalposts on me because
I'm saying it also has to be meaningful. So while it may be happening, the
what
Blue Marvel elevation and the America
mhm,
Chavez elevation
and
is
it,
happening. I'm telling you from recent history that unless you're Donny Cates or one of those Chip Zdarsky type people writing these comics will not be referenced by other people because the people writing them don't have jobs that stay. But the guy who writes X-Men, the guys who write Thor, they will just move from that Thor book. Now he's going to be writing Daredevil. Now he's going to be writing X-Men and Avengers, and they're going to be present. So while these stories are happening, they are, Kendall. They're
mm.
not as
So
circumstantial.
who wrote all new Marvel?
Only all different Marvel who wrote it. Like
Yeah.
Bendis, there was a couple writers in there
So
who changed
are
things
they
up.
in that league that you're talking about?
Actually, yeah,
Okay.
a lot of them were.
Like I'm just asking
Miles
like
Morales is still around because
mhm,
the guy who wrote it, Brian Michael Bendis, is a
okay.
name, and that contributes. That people will still buy
So
the book just because of who's.
Ironheart too. She made by Big.
Yeah, Brian Michael Bendis made her
Okay.
too.
Yeah, I'm
There's
just asking. Like I'm asking. I legit don't know. So
so if
yeah.
nobody's wrote those comics, then they wouldn't be here. There are examples of nobodies and making comic book characters and like it not sticking. There's a lot of that.
Mm.
Brian Michael Bendis is his name, and he cared. Like, do you know the story? He has two daughters, or he adopted, and both of them are black. all of a sudden this guy got really woke and he decided we're gonna start having black characters in Marvel. And so he had Peter Parker in the Ultimate Universe die because he was already writing Peter Parker.
Mhm.
And he's like, be a kid from Brooklyn. There's Puerto Rican, he's black. Inclusion, that just makes sense. And this is the Ultimate Universe. We're supposed to
Mhm.
do different things that are more modern. And so that's where it works. And he invented Riri Williams because he was doing the Iron Man book, right? Like he cared enough to see inclusion. As soon as he left the company, so did sales for Miles, and so did sales for Ironheart Riri Williams.
So like I'm gonna try to wrap it up in like 5 here. So
Let's wrap it
like
up now. I'm good.
yeah, you good, you good, you good. I was just about to ask you about Miles
Mhm.
because I was just about to ask you about Miles Morales because bringing him up, he is on the mantle. It is kind of a mantle thing there. Like he's been he's being elevated more so. I feel like into the Spider Verse than what he is in the comics career? Like, do you feel like his weight is more in Into the Spider Verse and to the public eye than what it is in comics?
Mhm.
Is there an issue? I don't know. I'm just
Yeah,
really.
he's in the shadow of Spider-Man.
Mm,
That's about it. Maybe change your name. Like John Walker is the U.S. agent, and that's different enough from Captain America where we can separate the two. He would be better off with more individuality. I
so
would
let
say
me
leave New.
say, and we can wrap it. Like to me, and to be honest, like that issue of Beyond, to me, it's not that deep on what people are going to digest it on. Some people are going to digest it that deeply, but to me, at the end of the conversation, like it's not that deep of an impact because not only did I honestly didn't grow up with any black superheroes, so it's like I'm fine. I'm good. Like it doesn't impact my night. Like it doesn't impact my life that we didn't grow up black superhero. Like we're looking too heavy into that. At the same time, though, like most of the people who watch this stuff, majority of them don't pick up a comic. Majority of these people don't watch every single movie. So to me personally, it doesn't get that deep to where it causes me to take issue with the situation that we're going to have a different Kang next. You know what I mean? Like just me personally, it's not. It doesn't have that deep of an impact or an effect. So like, I think that's while I see your point, I see the validity in it. Like, I think that's where we separate in
Your point's
the
valid
idea.
because Al Ewing, one of the names I mentioned, he did write Defenders Beyond.
Mm,
So the stuff that he does is going to make it to what Guardians of the Galaxy or whatever other
mm.
cosmic comic book this guy is in charge of writing
Well, it
right
said
now.
5 to 7 years out, so I'm thinking like there are like there were the rumors of like Celestial War and stuff like that, and like going into the Beyond, we're getting introduced to the Beyonder. So like, I feel like it's being built there, and this just takes time. I mean, in 5 years, God willing, we still doing this. It'd be a much more interesting conversation to see like how this shit actually shakes out,
And
and
whether
to
or
see
whether or not
whether they move forward. And then at that point, if what you happen happens, like I'm like, damn, yeah, Chillmonger was right. Like I see it, like, and I'm on that wave. Like nah, but to me, one is just not as deep of an issue for me personally. But then also too, like I need to see it happen because what I feel like is happening is like they're not going to pull back on diversity at this point.
in the words of Sheev the Wise, they need to do it.
Cute, do it. Hey, but yo, chill. Thank you for pulling up on me, bro. Any parting words? Anything you want to shout out to the folks in here? Can a
Subscribe to
mod put
Chillmonger.
Chill's link? Yeah, I was about to say, can somebody put a link in here for Chill? I don't have it, but it's in the description, I think.
youtube.com/chillmonger. I'm on Twitter also if you want to see what I would talk about. On Saturday, I will be doing a episode breakdown with a brand new panel of guests of The Mandalorian. So tune into that.
If it's Saturday, he's streaming. So pull up. So pull up on him. Yo, bro, I appreciate you pulling up on me. It's always dope talking. You know, not that you dope, but like one aspect of like that I fuck with just like kind of knowing you through the social media YouTube shit. I think we don't tend to agree a lot on shit. Like, I think in the outcome we want the same shit, but like we don't agree on methods or like where we're headed or whatever. But I just like one of those rare people that you can disagree with but still fuck with like that. Like still, pull up, have real conversation, and not feel slighted by it, not feel insulted. So like I fuck with you for that, and I appreciate you for that.
You could change my mind too. Like when you brought up
Yeah.
some of that Mandalorian stuff, I'm like, actually, that is true.
I
That
mean,
is
honestly,
true.
it's rare to find real like it's rare to find just like real people that can have like a real conversation with real dialogue and like that type of shit on the internet.
Yeah.
So yeah, let you know you appreciate it. At least from my standpoint, we appreciate it for that for real. So but yeah, come back next week. I don't have a guest lined up for next week quite yet. But regardless, we're gonna be on here next week. Make sure you hit like and subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to Chillmonger's channel. Pull up on his streams. Let him know what's good. Don't be a stranger to my boy here. And Chillmonger, I can't wait to get you back in here so we can talk about some more stuff, some more dope stuff as it falls out. And honestly, like you might be my go-to person with some controversial shit happens because I love your takes on some controversy and shit too. Like it's always some good shit. So
Oh, if Jonathan Majors, invite me the week that the video comes out. If Jonathan Majors like maybe
if
elbows her or sort of
regardless
pushes
of what
on her,
happens, you're coming.
regardless of what happens.
Regardless of what happens. Yeah, you're coming. You're coming, bro. Hey, but look, I'll holler at y'all. Look, it's been dope. Thanks so much. We'll catch you on the next shot.